Go.
Yeah, that's how I felt, starting a family at a young age. It's also how I felt the first time I stepped on stage. It's how I felt when I decided to go back to school. And it's still how I feel knowing that God is making all of my dreams come true. Like many of you, I've had situations in my life that have brought both fear and joy. In some cases, they were both one and the same. By learning to accept my fears and conquering them with joys, I was able to persevere through many things. Hopefully, by telling you the things about me, you too will be able to take your fears and use them as joys to push you to pursue your life's dreams. I can remember being in middle school and reading a limerick for the first time. That made me fall in love with poetry. That is until my teacher called me to come up front and read one out loud. I was completely mortified. As I'm walking up to the front of the class, all eyes are on me. I remember looking at the teacher saying, "Oh my God, Teach, they are not ready for this greatness." Immediately, all I heard was laughter. But ironically, they weren't laughing at me, they were actually laughing with me. So this helped me kind of put my fears in tow. This kind of reminds me of the first time I went to our haunted house. Every Halloween, my girlfriends and I would go to the best haunted house of the year. We'd stand in line and be so fearful just waiting to get inside. And although I loved reading scary books and watching horror movies, there was nothing like being inside a live action scary film. As we walked up to the gates and it was our turn to go, we were terrified. But somewhere in the mix of this thing, I decide that I want to jump on one of my friends' backs. What I think is a white t-shirt ends up being a white wall that I jumped into rather than on. Now that I have blood running down my face, I'm running up to the monsters going, "Boo!" and then running off laughing. Before the night was over, my friends and I all were in tears, either from fear or from laughing at my crazy antics. This ended up being one of those great stories that I could take on to my kids as they start embarking on their life in horror and entertainment. Speaking of my kids, there were 7 of them. Believe that? 7. My crazy husband and I decided in our 20s that we were old enough to raise 7 kids. And of course, when you have that many children, there's always going to be obstacles, especially when you're a kid yourself. You can't help but have those fearful moments of thinking, am I being the right parent? Am I training them in the right ways to prepare them for the world? All these fears were things that would take over me the entire time they were young. Now that they're older and I can look back and remember the days when I didn't think they'd ever be more than kids, it's so cute to see that our youngest 2 are in the 7th and the 10th grade with very promising futures. Our oldest kids have all graduated either high school or college and have gone on to start families of their own. Well, at least the oldest 3 anyway. It makes me feel good to see that they've taken the values that I didn't think they paid attention to and are instilling it in families that they're starting to create on their own. And as much as I would love to take credit for all this, if it wasn't for God, none of this would have been possible. Even though there were times in my life I questioned my faith, like the times when I was a young kid and I decided to shy away from God and from speaking at church because it was unpopular to be a churchy teen. I can even kind of attribute that to me even being a teen mom. But somewhere along the way, God told me, I will never let you go. And true to his word, he never did. I look at my life now and all the time that I put prayer and church and perseverance into our family and where life has taken me. If it weren't for my faith, I would not be starting my own haunted house. I'd still be going to them. If it weren't for my faith, I would still be this scared girl to recite a poem instead of being a spoken word artist and an upcoming author. If it wasn't for my faith, I wouldn't have celebrated 20 years of wedding anniversary and 3 grandchildren. So I know with God, everything is possible. I overcame my fears. I became this wonderful person, and now life is taking me back to my original middle school dreams. So no matter what you do in life, don't let the booze drive you away from what you want to achieve in life. Because ultimately, fear is simply false evidence appearing real.